Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are looking at every new archetype from 2023 that we have so far. We are adjusting our tier list accordingly to where they actually land now. We actually have a couple new decks to add. I think there's two new archetypes or decks that have come out kind of since the last time we did this video. And of course, some of the archetypes that were already on the list prior have gotten new cards. Things have changed in the format, so they kind of might fluctuate here as well. You guys know the drill. We're just going to go through it. The tiers look a little bit different than normal, going with the simple S through D tier. I'm not going to throw anything in F, just because it's modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't make anything quite F tier, but a good amount of D tier here and there. But yeah, so like basically breaking down the tiers. S tier is mainly stuff that's like tier 0 level of like completely own the format on a tier 0 level. A tier is just really solid decks that end up being legit top tier meta. B tier is right on the borderline of top tier meta. Maybe you could argue tier 2 decks end up here. Maybe even tier 1.5 decks could be at the top of B. Or low A, somewhere in there, but we'll obviously talk about that when we get there. C tier is more like cool rogue decks, you know what I mean? Like, they can have their formats, but they're just not quite on that level to really be a consistent meta contender. And D tier is just like, it's just not there for meta stuff. Okay, so let's get into it. We're starting off here with Mikanko. Nothing too crazy here. They have gotten 2 more cards revealed since I think the last time we did this. They're just okay. The 2 new cards didn't do enough to really help them. I think they still end up I think they go down to C tier for me. I don't think they're good enough to be tier 2 at the moment. I think they fall more into that rogue level, so we're going to leave them in C for now. I do like how this engine is more open-ended, and we'll see if we get more ritual archetypes, if we get more stuff like on that level, then, it could just be, find a home somewhere in a legit good deck. It works with Libromancer, but for right now, it's definitely C. Nemorelia, this is D to me. I just don't see this package. I ranked it higher, I think, before because I thought there was more hope for the archetype. I thought it had some interesting start to it, and I thought they would capitalize more on the second wave. We got the second wave. It's so mid. It's not nearly enough to me to even put it in C tier at the moment. I don't even think you can be successful as a rogue deck with this deck right now. I'm going to leave it in D until we see more support. It's just where they're at right now. The new Gate Guardian stuff, I'm going to put them at the bottom of C. I think there actually have been a couple of lists that have actually done some decent stuff on the regional level playing these cards. The whole engine's not great, but the couple you play a couple bricks. It gives you the ability to set up extra interruptions on your board, and as long as it has good synergy, it works out. It's fine. It's good enough. There. Bistials. I'm going to move Bistials to B tier right now. And keep in mind, some of these archetype stuff like Bistial and I guess particularly Kashtira, their archetypes started in 2022, but they weren't even a playable deck on their own. They were just played as generic hand traps for tier format, like Kashtira Fenrir as a generic good card in formats prior to them actually getting a thing. But in 2023, they became legit full-on archetypes. So that's why we still have them on the list. But yeah, Bistial for me, tier 2. It's a solid deck, but because we are missing a couple things, we don't have Assault Synchron yet. We also don't have the Chaos Ruler Synchro 8 like the OCG does. The deck is just not as good as it is in the OCG, and even in the OCG, I think they've been seeing a downtick in play. So, it's fine. I think it's a cool deck. I think it could be tier 2, and also they work with Dragon Link so well. So I'm gonna leave them here in B, but not quite A. Okay, one of the cool new ones, Earthbound Immortal. Now, you may be thinking John, that's not a new archetype. It really is. The new stuff does not even use any of the old cards, it doesn't look like. And the old cards weren't even really a deck. They didn't do anything, right? And so, to me, this is just new. I'm going to put it here in C tier right now. I do think it's pretty open-ended. The restrictions are very loose. It pretty much just locks you out of Exceed summoning and Link summoning when you use their cards, but you are full barred any other than that. Fusions and Synchro galore. So it has a generic engine that searches any field spell in the game that also gets you another decent interruption on top of that. We just need to see if there's which engine, if there is an engine that can combine with these cards and like actually go ham. That's going to be the big question, but we'll see. Still cool in the list, but right now it's C tier until I see enough. But right now it's also just hard because it's so new. They're not even out in the OCG. We just have seen the cards to kind of start theorizing with them. So we'll see. Let's skip that one for now. Pirelli is A tier for sure. I think they were B tier before, but they've worked their way up to A tier with especially the 2 new cards, and they've been performing really well in the OCG. They're performing really well so far in the TCG. They're definitely A tier for me. Easy one there. Rescue Ace. I'm going to put Rescue Ace in lower end B tier. Legit results in the OCG right now. Now, I know you can't pull too much from the OCG, but that's all we have to go off of right now. They got their 2 new cards in Duelist Nexus, and both of them were bangers. So good. They get an E-Telly and another second boss monster, which is awesome. And apparently they do really well. Now, they still have key weaknesses to pretty much anything that's back row based, but you can make up with that in the side deck and tech choices. But other than that, the engine actually appears to be cooking up a storm. So very, very cool. I'm very excited for that. Kashtira, clear A tier. I'm going to put it above Pirelli for right now, even though I think Pirelli has a good win matchup versus Kashtira. I don't judge them off of head-to-head. I judge them overall in the game. Right now, I still believe Kashtira overall for the format is better than Pirelli. But obviously, we're going to have a ban list soon. That will change things for Kashtira, I would guess. And then Pirelli, the gates could be opened for Pirelli. Monodome. It's going to also go down here. I guess I'd put it right now a little bit above Rescue Ace, but it's one of those decks that we just haven't seen it pop off yet, but I still believe there's enough there. We'll find somebody breaking the deck, breaking a way to abuse it. Maybe we need Revolution Synchron to play more field spell, abusing type stuff with AFD, but for right now, it's maybe lower end here. You know what? It doesn't do much in the OCG. I'll actually leave it under Rescue Ace right now, which kind of sounds crazy. Gold Pride either ends up at the very top of C tier, at the very bottom of B tier for me. I guess I'll put it at the very bottom of B tier. Gold Pride's pretty cool, but they're just not enough. The way you kind of have to play the deck is you have to play a ton of engine because you can't play a ton of non-engine. They obviously have the downside of dinking themselves so hard on life points, so if you ever go to time, you kind of auto lose, and they also lose to certain cards getting hit early in the turn before you get to do stuff like pay life points, and you can kind of be choked out of being able to use any of your extenders. But I do think the ceiling is there. I think the deck is still scary to play against because when they do go off, they go crazy, but it isn't there. It's not well rounded in every area. It's just a powerful combo deck that doesn't have enough in the other areas to kind of perform overall. But I still think it's a decent deck. I still think you can see some success with it, but definitely B tier for me. Vanquish Soul, I'm going to put it at the bottom of A tier. This deck in the OCG, and just honestly, we haven't seen this deck yet in the TCG. We'll get it very soon, but it's performing like it's the 5th best deck in the game, pretty much for them, around there. And I think that's good enough to be borderline A tier. You could also put this at the very top of B tier or the very bottom of A tier. I'm just going to give it the benefit of the doubt because I really like this deck. It feels like modern day Trick Stars if they just power crept Trick Stars to hell and back. And I like it. I'm very excited to play it, actually. So we'll see. But very cool. Nouvelles, not much yet. To be fair, these have actually already been out for a little bit in the OCG. And then in the next core set, they've already started reveals for Age of Overlord. I'm expecting to see new cards for these archetypes in there, which could be very huge. Specifically Vanquish Soul, just because their archetype searches spells and traps, searches monsters. They only have one extra monster, so they wanted to give them another one. Right? No matter what type of card, as long as it's just a good quality card, it's going to be good in Vanquish Soul. So very excited there. I'm going to put Nouvelles in the very bottom of C tier. I think there could be something here, and maybe it's a combination of or a thing where you combine this archetype with Mikanko, with Libromancer, make just a ritual good stuff type deck. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen much results from it in the OCG. So, but I do believe the cards have enough more than like Nemorelia does to at least be like, okay, it could be a rogue deck. But it's the bottom of C tier for me. Transcendrake, I'm going to put them at the top of C tier. They're definitely, like, Dinos are not going to be B tier with these cards, but I do think Dinos are still a good enough deck to be like, you got to be careful. You've always had to be careful. They just have too many high-quality cards that you can definitely be caught off guard at any point. Plus, if it's like a hard-going second build, they're just going to play board breakers in the main anyway, so those cards obviously can always catch you off guard, especially in Game 1. So just be careful with that. But they're one of the better decks here for C tier. And the last one here I have is the new, what do you even call this? Mythical Beast archetype. You could call this the Illusionist archetype, although Illusionist is more of just a general monster type, I guess. It's cool. It's a cool little engine. I'm really hoping Konami pushes forward with just like general Illusionist support. But until we see where they go with it, if they're just going to leave it as like a, I don't know, a really small type, or if they're going to expand on it a lot, we're going to see. But for right now, it's actually got a decent start. I saw a list that actually performed really well in the OCG. It's pretty cool. It's like a branded, Mythical Beast deck. I don't want to put it quite in tier 2. I would put it above Dinos right now. I think this engine is legit respectable like that, and it can splash with a lot of different like fusion archetypes generically. So I'm going to leave it in C tier right now, at the top of C tier, somewhere around there. And I think that makes the most sense for that. But all in all, I'm not disappointed with this. Only one archetype that I would currently put in D tier. Other than that, everything's at least like okay, like a interesting rogue deck or better, right? So I like the balance here. I think Konami's been doing a relatively good job at making stuff at least decent. But we'll see. Things are bound to change, 100%. I'm expecting to see, like I said, Vanquish Soul, Nouvelles, and Transcendrake new cards in the new set, Age of Overlord, so that could change them on a dime with how open dinosaurs are in general. Any good new dinosaur card could immediately flip them back into competitive play. Nouvelles, this is the one I have the least hope for. They would need the best card out of the 3 archetypes, I think, to really get a big enough boost, but it's always possible. We thought Rescue Ace was garbage, and they got 2 new cards, and boom, right back up. We saw it with Exosister. They got Malfa, and they're immediately right back in that thing. That kind of stuff. Mathmech Circular, another good example. But I think Vanquish Soul, like, if it's just a good card, like, boom, sky's the limit. And if they get a card in this next set and the next one, man, Vanquish Soul could be really good, for sure. Other than that, Age of Overlord is just a new set in general. We didn't get a new archetype in the set prior, Duelist Nexus, so I'm easily expecting 1 or 2 new archetypes in that set at least. When we get Duelist Nexus in a couple months, that should include a new TCG exclusive archetype. That will be thrown in the mix as well. And there's also a new deck build pack on the horizon that will probably get artwork and stuff revealed for in the next couple weeks. So a lot of archetypes kind of going to be turned over here in the next probably 2 months. We might have, 5, 6 more archetypes to kind of throw on the list, or at least adjust. And that's very, very exciting. So I will bring an update to this list later on. Let me know your thoughts down below on my list here, what you might adjust for your personal list. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that stuff down below. But I'm out of here for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe for more videos from your boy down the line. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.